I'm going to bring back Michael Geoghegan. He is a political analyst. He was speaking to us earlier today, joining me from Victoria, BC. Michael, I know you were listening to the Prime Minister today. There were a number of points that sort of stuck out, sort of pulling out this agenda here, talking about unemployment rate being the lowest in 30 years, the Liberals creating 800,000 jobs, allowing, single families to be able to work and provide for their children, businesses having access to 2/3 of the world economy and free trade. But what was also, it was a very much back and forth, directly aimed at what the Liberals are doing and what the Conservatives aren't. So what are your thoughts on sort of what we heard from the Prime Minister, and how do you think we're going to, what kind of response we're going to hear from Andrew Scheer?
Well, certainly it's being laid out clearly. This is going to be a two-party race for government. We're either going to have a Liberal government or a Conservative government, with the Greens, the NDP, and Max Bernier's People's Party playing the role of spoiler. One of those parties hoping to hold the balance of power. It's an ideal scenario for any of those also-ran parties. But certainly what they're competing for is the hearts, minds, and votes of a struggling middle class and a struggling working class in this country. And whoever can articulate the better and more credible vision, I think, has the edge in terms of winning this next October election.
Yeah, exactly. And he sort of talked about families in Scarborough. He referred to the Chahan family and what their situation was, having his mother living with them and all of their children, and how the Canada Child Tax Benefit is helping their family. He also referred to the Conservatives, that party was only there to protect the wealthy, and it was still a party of Stephen Harper.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly they want to portray the Conservatives as being as Republican-like as possible, because the vast majority of Canadians are repulsed by the conduct of the Republican Party in the United States. So to the extent they can tie the Conservatives in with that helps the Liberals. On the other hand, though, when you're looking at those new jobs, what kind of jobs are they? Are they full-time jobs? Are they part-time? Are they well-paying, or are they low income? And certainly for those that depend on the oil and gas sector, which is a lot of people, particularly on the prairie provinces, they're saying our inability to build a pipeline is the most critical thing in terms of my family's livelihood. The other thing is that although Canadians may feel good that we're looking at bringing 1 million new immigrants into Canada, or a lot of Canadians may feel good about that in terms of increasing the diversity and strength of our country, but on the other hand, they're saying, wait a sec, my children or my grandchildren can't afford to raise a family in most of our Canadian cities. That's a dysfunctionality we're going to have to address as well, because if our children aren't able to have kids, then that certainly doesn't bode well for any kind of future for our nation. No. So those are the kind of background issues that the two major parties are going to have to duke it out on.
Yeah, exactly, and as you also mentioned there, with regards to the pipeline, he talked about business having access to 2/3 of the world's economy and free trade, but he didn't bring up the new NAFTA agreement, which we know, although it was signed, not a lot of people were happy about that. So he's going to have to win over a lot of voters on that one as well, and we'll sort of see what the Conservatives do with that.
Yeah, exactly. And what can we do to bring manufacturing jobs and hold on to manufacturing jobs in Canada? That was certainly part of Trump's appeal in the United States. He said he was going to take a much tougher line with these trade agreements. And what about also the mobility of workers? If you're a highly skilled person, like, why isn't there more ability to work and live in different countries? Like that's something that seems to have been left out of the equation, as well as enforcement of labor standards, environmental regulations, and the like. So, when we tout these free trade agreements, they have certain benefits, but they're benefits that accrue overwhelmingly to large multinational corporations. What we need to have are free trade agreements that also, provide some direct benefit in terms of worker mobility and the like. So it's not just goods and services that are able to move more freely, but skilled professionals can as well.
Yeah, a lot to be looking at over the next few months. Michael Geoghegan, staying with me on this. Thank you so much from Victoria, BC. Michael, always a pleasure. Take care.
You're very welcome.